Well, greetings everybody, my name is The Adipose.
And my name is the Clary Pose.
And we have just seen The Night of the Doctor.
And what is The Night of the Doctor, Adipose?
Well, the 50th anniversary thing that's coming up for Doctor Who. This is Doctor Who, so if you're not a Doctor Who fan, step away, but if you are, stay with us.
Watch something else.
Go and watch other things. The Day of the Doctor is the 50th anniversary special. The one that's got Matt Smith, David Tennant come up is the Day of the Doctor.
Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Next weekend, Saturday. But this was a special preview little episode, which was called The Night of the Doctor. Now, some of the other episodes that have been in the Matt Smith era have also had little preview episodes, but they tend to be more things like kind of Matt Smith going, "Oh yes, that's coming up," or or just something kind of like hinty. Whereas this was actually a little kind of mini plot line in itself.
This was a little story, wasn't it? A little 7-minute story.
A little 7-minute story, but of course it didn't have Matt Smith or David Tennant in it, did it?
It didn't. No, he is the Doctor, but not the one we were expecting.
Exactly, which was a nice little line to kind of basically it start. By the way, this is going to be spoiler heavy, so if you haven't seen this little Night of the Doctor thing, it's online, it's free, and it's completely legal. There's a link in the description. Go and watch it, and then come back here and hear our review and
so
stuff.
it contains spoilers for the Night of the Doctor, but it doesn't contain any spoilers for the 50th anniversary Day of the Doctor.
Yeah. Well, this is no spoilers for
it.
Sorry?
Because we haven't seen it.
Because we haven't seen it. We don't know. Well, we have seen a scene of it, but we saw where it was filmed.
Right. Anyway, so the Night of the Doctor.
Because the Night of the Doctor doesn't have the 10th or the 11th or the 12th Doctor in it. It actually has the 8th Doctor, which you're actually looking at you right in front of here, who's played by Paul McGann. Now, Paul McGann was only ever in one Doctor Who film. He never had his own series. It was one film, and it was never picked up by a television network. Now, he has carried on doing the odd kind of audio book and the odd kind of little comic book and things like that. But this Doctor never had a regeneration scene, did he?
He didn't.
Because obviously, when Doctor Who had its big gap and then it came back, it started straight away with Christopher Eccleston, just like bonk.
But we never knew how one became the other.
Exactly, we never knew how he became Eccleston, and now, of course, what was revealed both in this episode and at the end of the name of the Doctor, which was the end of the last series, we know that actually there's another one in the middle.
That's right, and this guy here, he didn't become Christopher Eccleston, did
No,
he?
he doesn't. He becomes the John Hurt Doctor. But this is the other nice thing about it is that the John Hurt one is the same bloke, but he's not the Doctor. Because some people have been kind of saying, "Oh, this kind of spoils the continuity of everything," because now the 9th Doctor is in fact the 10th Doctor, and the 10th Doctor is actually the 11th Doctor. But what Moffat has said, and guess what this plotline here tries to introduce, if you once you watch this, is that the John Hurt Doctor is not a Doctor. He is, in using the words of this particular show, he is the warrior. So all the others are doctors and healers, but this is a warrior. In fact, the show actually, when the name of the Doctor actually starts up, it starts off with this kind of plane crash thing. There's a girl called Cass there, isn't there?
There is, yeah.
Now Cass reacts quite badly to him, doesn't he?
Yeah, I actually thought Cass's reaction was really interesting.
Yeah.
Because usually when people meet the Doctor, they fall over in love with
Yeah.
him, and they're so grateful that he's come, and they're so grateful they saved him. As soon as she realised that he had a TARDIS, as soon as she realised that he was a Time Lord, she didn't want to know. That's quite an unusual reaction for someone around the Doctor.
Exactly, and I think that was nice because what it did was it brought up perhaps the seriousness of the Time War and the implication, and because basically what effectively happens at the end of this episode is that the Paul McGann character decides to not be the Doctor anymore. He doesn't. We'll talk about how in a minute, but he decides he's not going to be a Doctor. He decides he's not going to be a warrior. He's going to become a warrior instead. But I thought Cass's reaction actually nicely played into that clearly this was a very serious situation in which Time Lords were effectively hated, and she shuts the door on him, doesn't she?
She does. She says that he is as bad as a Dalek.
As bad as the Daleks, and obviously if you've seen the David Tennant episode where the Time Lords kind of come back, you kind of get that hint that the Time Lords aren't all good creatures like he is. They can be very, very dangerous. Anyway, so the Paul McGann character, he crashes on this planet. He's trying to save Cass, but he crashes, and effectively he dies. But then he is saved by these rather strange women, isn't he?
He is, yeah. They actually reminded me a little bit. Do you remember the Fires of Pompeii episode?
Yes, I do. I thought that. They're sisters. They're known as the Sisters of Khan, I think it was,
Something
Kane.
like that.
And they come from a Tom Baker episode initially, way back in the day, and they're the guardians of some eternal flame. But I agree, I mean, just looking at the outfits there, they look very similar to those ones in the in that Pompeii episode. But apparently, the Paul McGann Doctor has also met these characters as well in his audio adventures. So if you are a mega Doctor Who fan and you actually kind of listen to the audio stuff, then Doctor Who has the Paul McGann Doctor has met these characters. Hence why they seem to be kind of more familiar with each other. And basically, they kind of resurrect him for a couple of minutes, don't they?
I think he gets 4 minutes, 4 extra minutes of life.
And he tries to kind of laugh that off and kind of go, oh, well, so much time going past, and pass me some knitting. I've got so much time. I wasn't sure what to make of his kind of Doctor Who personality, because he was very British. Do you know what I mean? Like, he didn't radiate charisma in the way that some of the others did. He was quite a serious kind of figure. But then again, I suppose if you're in the middle of a time war, I
think he had quite a dry sense of humour, didn't he?
Yes.
In that he did make a joke about, 4 minutes is ages. Perhaps I could do some knitting, but it wasn't a slap the thigh.
No, it wasn't. Joke. And there was also kind of, he didn't have that kind of like the manicness of Matt Smith, and he didn't have the kind of happiness and glee of the Tennant one. I mean, that's not.
But maybe he had an appropriate character, given that he's in the middle of a time war.
Yes, yeah. I mean, that was no way criticism at all. It's just a note that this was clearly meant to be a very different Doctor. One of the things I actually watched it accidentally with the subtitles on. I know I'm not entirely sure. I must have clicked on the link with the subtitles, but it made some of the dialogue was easier to hear or to read. Yeah. And actually, when basically what these ladies do is they resurrect him for 4 minutes and say, "Look, we need you to help in the time war. You've got to help." And he kind of objects, doesn't he? And then basically they persuade him and say, "Look, you've got to do something. The universe is going to end. We need you to become someone." And they actually offer him several drinks, don't they? And he has kind of a choice.
He does.
And they kind of say to him, well, do you want to be a wise person, a fast person, a old person, a young person? And the idea of each drink gives him like gives him kind of a different, which I think is quite a cool idea. It's one of those things that's a shame that they weren't actually able to extend that to a full episode, because you really could go somewhere with
which one should I choose? Who shall I be?
Because it would have been quite a nice little conversation in his head to kind of have like what should I become? Because the end result of Warrior is a nice idea, but how cool would it have been to have, say, half an hour of him going ooh ah, and then maybe looking out the window, see some Daleks going past and saying,
I need to be the Warrior.
I need to be. That would be quite cool, wouldn't it? And anyway, so basically he then takes the potion. He actually says goodbye to his old companions. That one of the reasons I was saying it was good to have the subtitles, because he says goodbye, Cass, Holly, something else. But I believe those are the companions he had both in that one-off Doctor Who TV movie and some of the companions that he had in the audio adventures and things like that. So he's effectively saying goodbye to his Rose, his Martha, his something like that, and then he becomes John Hurt. The non-Doctor, or the War Doctor, as they call him in the credits, but not the John Hurt.
Not John Hurt today.
No, I think it's interesting when he turned into the kind of the John Hurt Doctor. There was definitely kind of an idea that this was the young John Hurt, which rather than old. I mean, if you watch it, you'll see it's definitely him, but it's him, with a different haircut, less wrinkles. They must have taken it from some old kind of movie or clip or something like that. But the implication is then, of course, that this Doctor, the John Hurt Doctor, doesn't appear, do some bad things, and then disappear. He must be in this war for a long time. This is a Doctor that spends years.
Well, he's certainly aged by the time he comes into contact with Matt Smith in the finale of the most recent series.
And I would assume that the guys he takes would be his final guys, but if that has some age to it, it would imply that this was the war was long and the Doctor was fighting in it for a long time. I mean, wouldn't you just love it if at the end of the 50th anniversary the day of the Doctor, we get some sort of regeneration scene into Eccleston, to complete
so the gap is filled.
And I mean, Eccleston said publicly. He said he's met with Moffat. Actually, he was open. He said he met with Moffat, and they decided he wasn't going to do it, or he didn't want to do it. But to complete, just for the fans and for the continuity, to have that kind of morphing into the Eccleston character would so complete the timeline, and also I think would help to explain why Eccleston was such a kind of twisted character, because he was hurting from the time war. Eccleston, he was angry. And to kind of see the John Hurt character morph, who clearly fights for years and years and years, then morph into someone that's clearly kind of scarred by war. Almost like the Time Lord version of post-traumatic stress disorder, or however it is. It's that kind of idea. I think would make quite a lot of sense. But yeah, so he chooses the Warrior, stares at his hands as all Doctor Who's must do, and regenerates.
The regeneration.
And we have the little regeneration. So, what did you think of it overall? And a nice preview. I mean, obviously, in and of itself, it's not a classic episode, but has it whet your appetite?
Yeah, it's definitely whet my appetite. And what I think is really nice is that I think we've known for a while that in the Day of the Doctor, the focus is going to be a lot more on the we thought on the new characters, since the reboot. So the fact that they're linking it into the old characters and kind of trying to provide a continuity does make it a lot more well-rounded.
Yes. So that it is acknowledging the past from which it has come from.
I don't know whether this is true or not, but I did read that the old Doctors aren't really that heavily involved.
No, they're not. Well, and some of them were a bit like, oh, that's a shame we're not in it.
And I thought that was a bit sad, because I thought actually if you're celebrating Doctor Who, you need to celebrate all of Doctor Who, because what it used to be has influenced so very much what it is today.
It also, and obviously I don't actually employ them, so this is fairly meaningless, but in some way it raises my expectations of what this programme is going to be, because if they're actually saying this isn't just going to be a cameo fest, that like with this Doctor and this Doctor and this Doctor, that sounds more like they actually are trying to do something interesting with the story here. So I'm hoping that it kind of raises my expectations of what they're going to do, because they've said, well, we're not just going to go for loads and loads of faces. We want to do something a bit more kind of meaningful with our later characters. But it does. But then it said they are acknowledging the Paul McGann Doctor, but of course this isn't the preview show rather than the main show itself. But it is still here, and it also does round off. It's nice for him as an actor to get another chance to don the sonic screwdriver and stuff, to kind of finish his. To finish his run. But cool, and certainly a nice little treat to come home to on a Thursday evening.
Absolutely. So how long do we have to wait till the day of the Doctor then?
Well, it's week. Well, assuming you're watching this today, which of course you are watching it today, whatever day you're watching it, because it's today for you, but it may not be today for me. It's a week and a couple.
Wobbly.
Time is timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly. Oh, it's a week and 2 days.
A week and 2 days, not too long to go.
The day of the Doctor. Ooh, the day of the Doctor will soon be tomorrow. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed our little review and discussion. If you've got any comments about it, want to chat about it, let rip in the comment section.
Let us know what you thought of the prequel.
Yeah, it's a prequel preview little thing, isn't it? And we're thinking we'd quite like to do some kind of more review as the new series kind of kicks in, maybe kind of like a weekly little review thing of the episodes. As we've now got a bit more into the whole kind of YouTube thing. And if you think you might enjoy those, then do let us know. And of course, maybe some of you guys could join us in the debate as we review each one a lot. So thanks a lot for watching. Goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me too.
Please like the video if you've enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Bye-bye.